Alright, so this is a tutorial for to make a platform game. So first thing you're going to do is open up Unity, and we're going to click on New, and I'm just going to call this platformer game. Save right to the desktop. Make sure it's 2D because we're going to do a 2D game, and create project. It will create the project in a short manner. Let's see, come on. And making all this stuff. Okay, we're gonna skip new version for now because I trust it. Okay, and I'm gonna pause this for 1 second, just making sure it was the right thing. I thought for some, that doesn't matter. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we made a new project. So now we're gonna do is create our folder. So I'm gonna go to the project and we're gonna create our various folders. So I'm gonna create folder, and we're gonna make one called scenes, right? That we save our scenes in. Create folder. I'm gonna call one scripts, where we save our scripts. Create folder. We'll make another one called sprites, which is where we're going to save our graphics, our 2D graphics, and create folder and animations, which you'll see when we have our animations. We'll put them in there, and we will create a folder and we'll call it prefabs, which is where we'll save assets that we reuse, okay, like instances and things like that. All right, so first thing we're going to do after we do that is to save this. So I hit Control S or Command S. I'm going to go underneath the scenes folder of my platform, underneath the assets folder of our platform game, and I'm just going to call this, since this is our main level, I hit main, and so now we have an item in there, so that's good. Good. All right, so let's go ahead and import our sprites. So I'm going to have this selected. I'm going to import. So you can do a couple different ways. I can import new asset, or I can just drop and drag it in here, which I'm going to do it that way just to show you. Actually, we'll do it this way. Never mind. So we're going to import new asset, and I'm going to navigate. I put it on my desktop here. I'm going to grab both of these guys. This one, and let me do one at a time. Okay. So there's one, and we'll import again, or import, well, we'll do the other one the other way. So there's that, or oops. Good old Windows snapping. Where's sprites? Where did I put that? Right here. The other way is to just open up the folder itself, and then you can just, all right, there we go. You can just drop and drag it into here, and it will also import it. There you go. Or you can do it via files while this is open, and that will do the same thing as well. So we're just going to exit out of that. All right, snap back up. I'm going to take both of these guys, and I'm just going to drop them into my sprites folder so that they're nice and taken care of. Yay. All right. So now what we need to do is adjust our sprites. So with the first one here, this is basically the background element that I'm going to be using. There's really nothing too fancy we need to do with this. This is all fine. We might change something afterwards, but I'm sort of okay with that. The one that's a little bit different is this one. So basically what we have are a sprite sheet. So it's one image, but each but within it, it's an atlas of different frames of animation. Okay, so what we need to do basically is cut this into chunks so that it can be so that it sees it as frames, and then you can use them independently. All right, so in order to do that, we actually need to drop and drag that up here. Okay, so we're going to add that to the sprite sheet thing up here. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this. Actually, while we're at it, I'm just going to call it player, because that's going to be our player. And good. So down here, I'm going to click on the sprite. Actually, you know what? I'm going to undo that. Let's not do that yet. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to click on the sprite. We're going to change this to multiple. The other one's single because it's a single image. This is actually going to be multiple images. I'm going to hit sprite editor. Oh, I got to hit apply. Okay. All right. And now what this is going to allow us to do is more or less to slice it into chunks. Now, there's a couple different options. I could do automatic and slice, but what you're going to notice is that it's going to create these boxes that are different sizes. And what's going to happen is the animation is going to be kind of wobbly. I want them, if you probably can't tell, but they're actually on a perfect grid. So when you go to make your graphics and you make a sprite sheet, just make sure that they are perfectly aligned to a perfect grid. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to do grid by cell size. And I remembered mine now. It's 500 by 500. And then I'll hit, I'm going to change this and make this bottom. And then I'm going to hit slice. And then you're going to see it's going to make the grid like this. All right, so now they're all grid up nicely. And then we'll hit apply to actually apply that. And you will see down here, I'm going to exit out of this now. Down here now, like when I expand this, there's only one sprite. But now when I expand this, you can see there's a whole slew of them. Okay, so those are all the frames that I've created thus far. Now I'm going to take this and drop this up here. I think, hang on, so let me see if there's something else I need to do. No. I'm going to bring that up there. And let me go to game. He's pretty big. So see how pretty large he is? I'm not a huge fan of that size. So I'm actually going to go to this sprite sheet here. And you see where it says pixels per unit? That determines this how many pixels are, like this right now, if you remember that square was 500 pixels, right? So if I put in 500 here and enter, and then I have to hit apply, so it applies to everything that's imported from there, you're going to see it's going to be the size of one of these. Basically, it's saying it's 500 pixels per one of these units. 500 is a little bit much, so let's do 250 would be that size. That's a little bit larger than I want. Let's do 325. Okay, and then I'll apply that. That'll make them a little bit larger. Good. So we'll say 325. Now, when you do it in here, this is basically the import setting. Well, it says import settings right there. Yeah. So this is the import settings. But you have to make sure you apply, because that way every instance of it that you've actually brought into your scene, it will apply it to that as well. Okay. So now I'm just going to go ahead and click on this and rename it player. All right. Make sure I got everything there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is actually work on making an animation for this. Okay, so I already have the tab down here, but if you don't, you just go Window, Animation, and then it might be popped out. All you got to do is, if you grab it here, you can move it around, and if you have another screen, you can put it in the other screen. But if you grab it by the tab here, that will allow you to snap it either into new ones or make it part of existing ones. So I'm just going to drop it down here. So while I have this selected, I'm going to hit Create to make a new clip. I'm going to hit Create. I'm going to go underneath my animations, and this one's just going to be called Idle, and I'll hit Save. So now I have a new animation clip, and it's running at 60 frames or 60 samples per second. And I'm going to add a new property. I'm going to go Add Property. And what we're going to do basically is just swap out the different sprites, the different images. We're not going to physically animate this moving at all. We're just going to basically make it so it flips from one picture to the next picture to the next picture and so on. So what we're going to do is just do a sprite. I'm going to hit plus, and that's going to add this sprite here. So that's great, and it'll add this one as well. I'm going to delete this one because I don't need the one at the 100 frames. I just need this one here. So I got this one here, and if I click on it, you'll see up here it'll give me the sprite number. So it says sprite sheet _0. So that's the first one. In my case, actually, it's number 5 is what I put it. So I'm going to click on this little target symbol, and I'm going to look for number 5, which is this one, right? Yep. I'm going to double click on it, and now it's sprite sheet 5. All right. So that's what's there. And that's good. For my idle, there's no animation. It's just going to be still, stiff, looking like that. So I don't need anything more than that. So that's good. So that's one clip done. Very easy. So now we're going to make another clip, one for run. So I'm going to click where it says idle, and this would be my whole list of them. Currently there's only one, but I'm going to click on create new clip. Click on that, and we're going to call this one run, and I'll hit save. I'm going to hit the same thing, add property. We're just doing these all through sprite properties. So I got that one there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this little thing here. This allows me to zoom in and out of my timeline. I'm going to make it that every 5, right there, every 5 frames, okay, I'm going to have a new picture. Okay, so I have memorized, or I wrote down what my frame numbers are. So this first one is this is one, right? Yeah, this first one should be 0. So I'm going to click on it here. I'm going to go up here. It's already on 0. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to drag this to 5. If you double click, it will add a new key, or you can hit the little plus. You'll see. I'll show you the other way. And then the number 2 is, for me, is 1. So it's this one. So double click. And then I'll go to 10 here. And if I click on this, click add key, that will add another key. That's another way of doing it. So I'm going to click on this. The next one is 3. All right. So it's probably this one. Go another 5. Double click. And then I'm going to click on this, and it is 7. For whatever reason, my stuff is not like in order. Hopefully yours will be. I just didn't, when I got sliced, or when I generated the the sprite sheet, I had it like auto do it, and it just did a terrible job. If I had done it manually, it probably would have been a little bit better. Oh, gotta add a key first. Add a key, boom, click on that, and this one's 8. Okay. All right, click here, and then it's 10 for me. 8, oops, 10, and another 5. Double click, and then it was 14. So where are you? 14 here? Nope, here. Double click. Okay. Now for this last one, I need to do is that the problem is right now is that it's going to go to this one, and then it's going to start at the beginning one. So it means that this will only be on for 1 frame. So I need to drag not to 40 because that's actually where the next one would be, which is in this case going to be 0. I'm going to go 1 back, so basically it's 39. And I'm just going to double click. It'll just make a duplicate of the previous key. The other thing I need to do is that it always adds one at that 100, so just delete that one. You just click and hit delete. Okay? And voila. And if I hit play right here, you can see it. There he is walking. Walking and a squawking. Beauteous. All right. So next what I'm going to do is make another one. So I'm going to click on this. You can see now I have the 2 to switch from. I'm going to hit create new clip. And this one is going to be called jump. All right. Add property. You can probably see how this is repeating. Sprite, hit plus. And good. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one right off to begin with. And I'm going to say, okay, so the first frame should be, I'm actually not going to make it 0 because it will already been 0 at this point. So I'll make this one 1. So I'm going to click on this. And I'm going to say you should be 1. So there's 1. I'm going to go to 5 here. And this one is 16. So I'm going to double click and click on this guy. And it will be 16. This one. And I'm going to go 5. Double click. And then it's 13. Boom. So 13. Come on. Ah, there you go. Double click. Oops. So see how this one's off? You can just click and drag these. You don't actually. And you can actually click and delete one if you. Well, we already did that too. So 13. Then it's 4. All right. So 4. 4. And boom. And then it is 5. Okay. And you will be 5. Beauteous. Okay, good. And now if I hit play, he looks like he's jumping. And it looks kind of fast, so oops. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to hold shift, click, and drag these. And we'll do it. Maybe we'll just extend it to. So I'm just kind of clicking and dragging. Because he looks a touch fast to me. And then if you remember, we have to take this one and then 1 before, make a duplicate so that on 50, when it goes back, it will be fine. So now let's see this. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Okay. Great. All right. So those are the clips, and that's pretty good. So the next thing to do will be to hook these up, but we're at 13, so I'm going to wait to do that. One thing I would also suggest doing is just do this for me. Hit play. Then stop it, and then you'll see this is no longer red. Otherwise, you're still in recording mode, and it'll record all your actions, and then there'll be animations, and that's not what we want. So the next thing to do is going to be this animator thing. So I'm going to pause this, and then we'll do the next one.